Welcome to the Haven Hubcast, a place to learn what business leaders, owners, and professionals are doing to navigate and grow in today's market. Hear from industry experts on everything from marketing, leadership, financing, and more. Brought to you by Haven, a co-working space where you can connect, create, and get stuff done.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Haven Hubcast. I'm your host, Nancy Sheed, and we are here again speaking to Hayley Segar. Hayley, welcome.
Thank you for having me, Nancy.
For those of you who aren't familiar with Hayley, she is the founder of One with Swim. Hayley, we spoke to you, I think 3 or 4 years ago, and much has changed with you and your business. Can you just sort of, for those who aren't familiar with you and One with Swim, share with the audience sort of who you are and what your company is before we take them through this exciting timeline and sort of journey that you've been on?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Hayley. I'm the founder of One with Swim. We make patented women's swimsuits that fit like no-show underwear. So we launched in November 2021. So this week, actually, that we're recording this marked 4 years of One with.
4 years. Holy moly.
Which is so wild. I was born and raised in Connecticut on the Connecticut shoreline. So a lot of our names and sensibilities within the brand reflect that. I am very passionate about this state and being from New England. So I make sure that that is injected as much as possible into One With. And yeah, we, like I said, launched 4 years ago. We kind of started gaining traction by going viral very organically and built the brand from just having really great product market fit. And then earlier this year, we were on Shark Tank. I got a deal with 2 sharks. And mid-year, we got our patent approved finally, which is great.
I have goosebumps. I have goosebumps. So Hayley, when we spoke, we'll link back to that first conversation. I'm not even sure you had launched. If you had, it was soft launch. You were in conversation launch. You were sort of coming out of incubator mode. Let's take you back in that time. And for those of you, again, who aren't familiar with Hayley, before that, you were sort of an influencer before influencers were influential. You know what I mean? And I just want to share with people, like, sort of what was the catalyst, the aha moment or the whatever that you sort of decided, okay, there's a business here. I need to launch it. What was that moment like?
Yeah, it was in April 2019. And let me go back a little bit. I had always said since I was a little girl, like I don't even want to say I said it. I knew I had an inherent knowing that I would have a brand one day. I would own something. I would come up with an idea. I just knew that, but I would never force that idea. I know what it looks like when people think tank brands and ideas, and you can tell. I always can tell. And I vowed that that would never be me. I mean, I would let it come to me very organically. And I knew that I would know when the idea that I was supposed to act on came. So that moment came in April of 2019 when I literally said out loud, I just want a swimsuit that fits like no-show underwear, after I was trying on a bunch of different swimsuits and I hated them all. But I had this kind of dissonance in my head of like, why do I feel so much better in no-show undies than I do in swim? And they're so similar, but they're so not. And where's that gap? And then I realized, like, I can bridge it. I can bridge that gap. I can create swimsuits that fit like no-show underwear. So in that moment, I went white as a ghost. It hit me like a freight train. Like, I knew that that was it. And I went online to make sure that no one had made this before, and they didn't. And I set out to create it. So it took me about 2.5 years from concept to launch.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So I have goosebumps again, like as you're telling your story. So just the visceral feel of the aha moment. And in those 2 years, how did you know things like prototyping? How did you know designing? How did you know? I mean, I'm not going to make the assumption that marketing came easy, but given your experience in social media, I'm going to say more that, like, how did you dig in and become a CEO, founder, and develop product? I mean, how did you learn?
Yeah. So I always had worked in fashion. I worked in the bridal industry for a really long time, selling wedding gowns. I had worked on the designer side of things too. Never as a designer, but in terms of like people who made wedding gowns, so to speak. So I had kind of seen enough to know that I did not know. You know what I'm saying? Like, I knew how things were produced, and I was not going to Dunning-Kruger myself into thinking like I could do it. I knew I couldn't. I knew I would need to bring in help.
Right.
So I did kind of go back and forth though. Like, do I go back to school? Do I learn pattern making? Do I learn technical design and do it myself, like literally homegrown? Or do I bring someone in? And ultimately I brought someone in to help me bring it to life, which is what I always recommend to people, like pay for experience because you're going to end up paying anyways if you don't do it correctly. So you might as well just do it right from the jump. So that's kind of how I honed the technical bringing it to life aspect. Marketing has always come easily to me just because of the way that I primed myself in being a content creator since 2008. Like it's embedded in me. I've been creating content in my life longer than I wasn't creating content. So
longer than you've been alive. No.
Well, I mean, it feels like that at this point. But yeah, so that's natural. In terms of becoming like a founder operator, I learned so much daily. I am built for it though. Like this is what I'm meant to do. It wasn't like I'm calling on a skill set that isn't available to me. It is, but I'm constantly refining it, getting better, figuring out my weak spots and things like that. But what I'm doing now with Wentworth really is the blend of all the things I love and that I think are kind of like my zone of genius and where I really excel and really thrive in life. And I feel really lucky for that to be my job, but I've also created this job. So it's really just like a beautiful blend of things. And I just always have my ears open, my eyes open, and trying to learn as much as I possibly can about improving myself as a founder operator.
Okay, I want to keep on that theme because a lot of founder operators get to the point of growth where they're like, it's grown too fast, or, oh, I didn't know that I had this blind spot, or, oh, here are my strengths, but I'm trying to do things over here that aren't my strengths.
Yeah.
What does that road look like? I mean, I love that you said you've actually created this job. So it sounds very intentional in the way you have done it. Was that something somebody else had warned you or you'd watched other founders doing? How did you sort of navigate that?
Yeah, I've definitely watched other founders
flounder.
Yeah, like or like eclipse their zone of genius or try to do too many things. And like, I think also I am a solo founder. If I physically don't have the bandwidth or if I am physically, I'm not good at it, I can't like turn to my co-founder and be like, you're more of the finance guy.
Right.
You know, you should be. It's like, no, I have to go and seek to build that person out, build that role out. So delegating has to happen. There's really no option. But yeah, I think like I really have been super, super intentional with my journey. I'm not afraid to do things that are hard, make hard choices for the betterment of one. The only person, if you will, that suffers if I don't do things the right way is Wentworth. And why would I want that? Right? So I really try to be objective. I try to get, measured outside opinions and make decisions based on my own gut feel and as much objectivity as I possibly can have and act from there.
I love that. So not necessarily backtracking, but if we make the leap from Haven Hatch, which we call our nice Shark Tank, which you participated in, to the real Shark Tank, walk us through that, if you don't mind, that journey. Were there other, were there other pitching competitions that built up there, or were there certain stages in your business you knew you had to get to? Like, what did that timeline look like for you? Because I'm going to make an assumption that you probably had Shark Tank on your list way back when. So what did that timeline look like for you in terms of how you made that journey?
Yeah, I think I did Haven Hatch. I think we had launched, I think it would have been, April 2022, maybe. And I have done several pitch competitions. And to be honest with you, they all didn't seem tailored for someone like me or my business. And like the questions I would get asked and the reaction to me and my company is actually what held me back from doing Shark Tank, to be quite honest with you, because I was like, the reaction isn't always great. I think people see me get up in front of a crowd and like this little blonde girl and I'm just like swimsuits, and the reactions follow. And it felt for a while, like people weren't listening to me and what I had to say. They were just kind of distracted by the whole thing. And so that's honestly what held me back from doing Shark Tank. I felt like if that had been my experience to date, why would I go on the national stage just to be embarrassed, to be honest? And I've said that a few times on podcasts. And that was a big limiting belief that I had to really get over, is like, it's just going to be history repeating itself, but on the grandest scale you could possibly imagine. And so when I went into Shark Tank was the nice version of Shark Tank. Like it was the best case scenario for me. Yeah. So it kind of helped me rewrite a lot of negative experiences I had had. I felt like they really listened to me and they really listened to my business. And that's how I got the outcome that I got.
Right.
Which felt so incredible and so validating and really gave me this license to approach things like that differently and be like, okay, maybe this won't be the case. Maybe people will really listen and will really appreciate what I've built.
Right.
So Shark Tank was just the best experience for me.
And so what helped you get over that limiting belief, or the Shark Tank, just go for it? Or did you just sort of keep saying, I'm going to do it anyway, I'm going to do it anyway? Like, how did you even then get the gumption to sort of put yourself in front of, or to go for it?
Yeah, no, I really had to work so hard at it. Like it was every time that belief would pop into my head or that feeling would pop into my head, I had to actively rewrite it. Like I just did, I forget what they call it when you like actively reprogram the firing in your brain, but like it was literally like replacing the thought of, you're not the type of person that should do Shark Tank because look at what's happened when you've got in front of a crowd previously, okay? To all of those experiences prepared me for this moment. I am the perfect person to be on Shark Tank, like physically flipping it on its head and saying it enough times where I actually believe that there was a possibility that that could be the outcome,
Right.
And of course, like when I got into the tank and stuff, I'm actively fighting that because I'm so nervous. I'm actively fighting that the whole time. But I have enough at this point injected this new belief system within myself to actually entertain it as a possibility and a reality. And then I started watching that reality play out in front of me when they were asking me the questions they were asking and having the reaction to the business that they were having and being so locked in and it going really well. And I was like, oh, wow, maybe this is true. Maybe I am the perfect person to be here.
Oh, I'm going to get a little sad. I mean, I'm getting a little emotional because watching you we'll put the link in the show notes too, but watching you, it is not in anywhere near like you, to me, and watching it was like, she owned it. Like you walked out and you owned it and in a fun, really engaging way with your models. Like it was fun, really fun to watch.
Thank you.
But I really appreciate you sharing the kind of vulnerability of what it took to go in there. Because I think to your point, you do watch, and then there's some people that are just Shark Tankers, right? Like they go in and you're sort of like, oh my God, you've just been working on this to get on Shark Tank. This isn't, your passion project. And so Hayley, from, you were obviously building your company. Shark Tank necessarily wasn't the goal, but you saw it as what it could bring to you and your business. Were you at a certain place in your business, like if it goes well, I'm going this way, or if it doesn't go well, I'm going this way? I mean, or were you just like, I'm doing my business. If this works out, great, it'll elevate us. What was kind of going through your mind at that stage or junction?
Exactly what you just said, Nancy, like the latter. The like, if this goes well, awesome. If not, I tried kind of a thing. But I did get to the point, I think it was the night before I filmed, where I was getting really nervous. I was doing pretty good at not being super, super nervous up until the very, very last minute. But then it kind of all hit me. And I was like, why am I doing this? Why am I subjecting myself to this? One with is going to be good with or without this. Why would I go on national TV,
right.
And I almost backed out. Like I literally was like, is the risk worth the potential reward, or is the reward worth the risk? However you want to word it. But yeah, I really like had that moment. And then my mom, who was with me in LA, was like, you got it. You just got to do it. And I was like, no, you're right. I just got to do it. I just got to do it.
Yay, Mom.
Yeah, go my mom. She's been there for me with everything, which is why she was with me. It was a nice full circle moment to be able to bring her to LA to film. But yeah, there was some serious weighing I had to do, obviously. But yeah, I did feel like we would be okay with or without it.
Like
And I still feel that way.
Right. And again, so it wasn't part of your business plan. It was
No.
okay, this is great if it like, this will take us in a different space, but we were fine. So let's talk about kind of, well, we can't sort of say life without Shark Tank because Shark Tank worked out.
Yeah.
How did that impact what you were already working on or your growth strategy? Does it catapult? Does it complement? Does it open doors you didn't have? Or does it make you think about doing things you would have never thought of?
That's a great question. I think I explained Shark Tank as like pouring gas on the fire.
Okay.
Like we were already doing really well. That obviously took us into a next level. I think the legitimacy of being on Shark Tank does kind of catapult you into a certain container of brands. And that I think is really cool. And then I also say for me as a founder, whenever I would walk into a room and I would tell people what I did or someone would ask or whatever, I would, hi, I'm Hayley. I own a swimsuit company, whatever. And I think people might think I'm like crocheting swimsuits and selling them at a farmer's market. I don't know, like the way people were like, oh, okay, like whatever. But I think the second, and especially like in business connotations too, short of like a revenue KPI that you give them, how do you legitimize what you're doing in a clip, in one bite?
We all struggle with that. I mean, whether you're a solopreneur or whether you're a CEO, I think we all struggle with that in some way or another, right?
Completely. But I will say, not anymore, because the second I say Shark Tank, people know. Like people,
right.
And kudos to Shark Tank for building out that infrastructure for entrepreneurs to be able to legitimize what they're doing, say like, listen, like we mean business by just literally saying like, we got a deal on Shark Tank. I think I'm so grateful for that. But yeah, it really brought me, I think, into this space of I can really own what I'm doing. I can really back like the legitimacy of my brand. Not that I didn't feel that before, but I'm like, how do I convey that to other people? And just saying again, like we're on Shark Tank, we got a deal, like we have a patent, like I got all these things this year where I was like, I've been trying to encapsulate how legit what I'm doing is, I promise, and then I got all these like credentials this year where I'm like, yes, people can get it just by me saying patent or Shark Tank or whatever, even though I've known it the whole time, but now I've got this clip.
Exactly. So, well, and you're not spending that energy, to your point, legitimizing it. Now you're like, now I don't have to get you past all this other stuff. I can get you on like looking forward.
Exactly.
Acknowledging an amazing year that you've had. What's next or what's happening in the business for you right now? Or to your point, like you are not crocheting bathing suits for people.
And no offense to anyone that is, but I just want, what I do is not that, So it's like, I want that to be conveyed,
And in terms of seasons or in terms of what your marketplace looks like, I can't pretend to be an expert in clothing and or bathing suits, but what is your outlook now in terms of either growth or like your next, I mean, I hate to sort of, we're not ignoring the amazing milestones you've just made, but like, is it now a matter of distribution? Is it now a matter of retail partners? Is it now a matter of once you got the patent, what's next on your list?
Yeah, I think I'm just always looking at making sure more people know about One Win. And most people don't. So I'm constantly like, how do we grow this? Obviously, I've got a revenue milestone for next year that I want to hit right now. Like, so it's our off season right now. And in the off season, I do not recommend, let it be known, having a seasonal business. It's the worst. I hate it.
Again, I've learned something. Who knew? I mean, resort wear is not really a thing for you.
Yeah, no. I empathize with anyone who owns an ice cream shop or anything of that nature because seasonality is a beast and you have to learn how to wrangle that beast very early on or else, basically.
Right.
So yeah, so what the beauty of the off season is it does kind of shake the trees. And you see what comes loose and you see what needs to be improved. Like if there's any processes that are breaking, I feel like you notice it when you're scaling or when it's the quieter period, to be honest. So that is always a really big pro of the off season is, okay, now some things are really clear, cleaning house, getting stuff ready, building infrastructures. Like we redid our website. We switched to a 3PL, a warehouse. Like we're doing all of these things in the off season to get us ready for next year. And that feels really good. So we're kind of like setting up the infrastructure in this period to start off 2026 really strong and then maintain growth through the rest of the year.
Awesome. I just also make sure that we gave enough attention to, like, One with Swim is not just a swimwear company, where this is not, I don't like, an open, like this is truly a differentiator. How does that, being kind of a different kind of swimwear company, how then are you approaching are you just selling direct to consumer, or are you trying to get in and sort of say to other people, like, you need my brand in your store to complement what you're offering? Like, what does that look like just from a marketplace standpoint?
Yeah, we're direct to consumer only right now.
Okay.
When I was on Shark Tank, they asked me kind of like, what's your next frontier? Like, what's your next growth edge? Like, what are you going to do? If you get this money, what are you going to do? And I was like, retail. And they were like, don't do retail. They're like, everyone who's in retail wants to do what you're doing, kind of a thing. Like have a really strong D2C engine running. And they're basically like, focus on that engine.
Okay.
And I agree with that. I think.
And you know that, right? Like, your customers.
Yeah. And I think, when I talk to founders that are earlier in their journey and stuff, and they're like, oh, we've got, I'm working on half wholesale, half e-com. I'm like, pick one. Like, I really do believe that. I think when you split focus, something always suffers. You don't want one of those things to give it your all until you've, like maybe you've given wholesale your all and it's not going so hot. Switch your all to e-com, and you can always pick wholesale back up when you've got another arm that can do that, but trying to wrap your arms around everything is hard. So we've just focused on direct to consumer, and that's been pretty good for us.
I love it. Well, Hayley, obviously we'll include lots of information about One With and your links and things, but I also, know in following you in social media and by the fact that you're sitting here sharing your time with the Haven audience, that you're a big person who gives back in terms of people who helped you in your journey. What has that looked like for you in this big year? Like, thanks for coming back to Haven and talking to us, but also what does that look like? I know you've been active in schools and talking to other entrepreneurs. You're doing it. It's so gracious. What are you getting out of it? And what's been that experience for you?
Yeah, that's a great question. I do a lot of stuff with UConn. That's my alma mater.
Great.
And they were so giving to me, to be quite honest with you. They have been nothing but total boosters of One With and me, Hayley, which feels amazing. And they were the people, UConn Connecticut Center for Entrepreneurship and Innovation, and CTSBDC, which is I guess you could say like subsidiary of UConn, were my earliest supporters and the people that gave me votes of confidence when I didn't necessarily have that in myself. And so I kind of feel like it's the least I can do. So not only am I giving back to the institution, so there's that element too of like they facilitated such an amazing thing for me. I do feel like the least I can do is give them some of my time. But I also do really, really, really love being able to get into, especially like a classroom environment. Like a couple weeks ago, I spoke at the School of Business, and those are kids. It was an e-com class. So they're kids that have their business majors. They have a vested interest in this, even entrepreneurship majors in the class. Like this is something they're seriously pursuing. And I think being able to give kids like that tactical advice, real learnings that are like very gritty and like, don't do this. This is where I messed up, or this is where I really took a big swing and it paid off. I think giving those bits and nuggets to people makes me feel really good, especially if I can save people money, time, doubt, giving people like what I maybe didn't have. That is something that in general, I'm really always cognizant of that. And it especially makes me feel good to do that in a classroom business setting. Just hopefully people being able to learn from me.
Yeah. Oh, so magical. I'm dying to know, have you seen any future Hayley Segar, in your conversations? Have you seen the sparkle of, some people and you're like, oh, I totally get that person. I know where they are.
100%. Yeah. 100. Oh no. Sometimes like I'll go to like the people at UConn, like the CCI, and I'll say like that, I know in 60 seconds if someone has it. And I'm not saying I'm the end all be all star maker here, but I know when someone has like what I feel in my heart.
What a gift.
You have it or you don't. I always say if you have to question your dedication or passion for your business, maybe that's not the right business for you. Maybe it's another idea, but like you have to have almost a delusional sense of confidence, drive, execution, grit, coachability. And that's like a specific combo of things. And when I see it, I get so excited and I'm so bullish on that person and their business. And it's like the best, most rewarding thing for me to see that.
I love it. Okay, so we're looking for people that are delusional in there. Delusional.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I think that makes sense to your point. Like it's delusional or irrational. Do you know what I mean? Like it defies logic.
Yep.
And you've seen it. I mean, you were obviously an amazing example of that. I feel like Felicia with Haven was one of those people you're like, she sees this way beyond the rest of, I'm not saying the rest of us, but like, we've seen it in people. Well, Hayley, what a treat. Thank you so much for sort of coming back and checking in with the Haven team and bringing us up to date with what you're doing. Congratulations on an amazing year. We'll put all the show notes in the bottom, but if people do want to, A, learn about the product, or B, get in touch with you, what's the best way to reach you?
Yeah. So One With Swim is our handle on all social accounts.
We'll put that in there.
Yes. And then onewithswim.com is our site. And then for me, I don't have a public Instagram or anything like that, but they can follow me on LinkedIn.
Perfect.
So yeah, hopefully that's helpful.
We'll put all those in there. Again, Hayley, Thank you so much for being here. This was just a treat.
Thank you. Likewise, Nancy. I appreciate it.
And that's another episode of the Haven Hubcast. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for listening. If you enjoy what you hear, please make sure to be a subscriber, share this episode with somebody, and we love to get positive rankings. So if you haven't done so, we'd love to have you write a review and give us a 5-star ranking. Thanks.
Thanks for listening to the Haven Hubcast, a place to learn what business leaders and owners are doing to navigate and grow in today's market. Please leave a review on Apple Podcasts and subscribe on your favorite podcast app. Haven is a co-working space and virtual community located in the heart of Fairfield County, Connecticut. Haven is a hub for business owners and professionals to connect, create, and get stuff done. Find out more about the Haven community online at haven.com. That's HAYVN.com. Haven Hubcast is produced by Sound Advice Strategies.